Thanks for joining us today, everyone. It's Andrew from IDB with the best jailbreak tweaks for iOS 10, part 3, starting off with HUDPlayer. This is a really nice little way to customize your VolumeHUD. You can have just the standard volume, but when music is playing, it'll kind of adapt to the music or the album color. So it'll do that automatic color from album image, which is an option here in the settings. It says you can enable or disable. Add those macOS volume sounds, those little beeping kind of noises, adding a dark blur to it or just making it a solid color, using that color from the album art, and of course making the image have rounded corners. You can see here with a few different albums, it goes from lighter to darker just depending on what you are playing. Next up, we have ClassicFolders 2, available for $1.99 from Cydia. This kind of brings back the old retro-looking folder kind of animations and designs from older iOS. So you have a folder here, you can notice this little animation coming down instead of it popping up and over like they do in iOS 10. If you jump into the Settings app and scroll all the way down to ClassicFolders 2, you have a few different things you can configure, such as enabling or disabling, switching which mode, so the modern, Mavericks, classic, or that beta one down at the bottom. I like the classic one, that's kind of cool looking. Of course, you can adjust the animation speed, so how fast it's opening and closing, and just a few different things like icon outlines and everything else. But once you respring your device after making those changes, you can go back to your folder and see what it looks like. Basically like every other tweak that's out there. Notice we now have that classic icon of that linen background, and when it opens up, we have again that linen background from iOS 4 or 5, somewhere around there. LastTimeUnlocked is a dead simple tweak. There's really pretty much nothing to it, but it gives you an idea of when the last time your phone was unlocked. So you have to worry about someone else trying to get into your phone. When you do look on the bottom, it says last unlocked and the timestamp of when it was last unlocked. There are a few different configuration options, like maybe you don't want to say last unlocked and maybe you prefer having AM PM, so you would have more of an hour of when it happened. You can turn both those things on. So we're going to turn on that force AM PM time, and we're going to add a custom unlock string. It's just saying hello, but you could also make it into something else that you want. Just makes it a little bit more obscure to what it actually is supposed to be representing for other people. Now we have PulseHUD. You can pick this up for free from inside of Cydia, but this is a really cool way to adjust your volume. So when you adjust your volume, it gives you this little pulsing color instead. Inside the Settings app, there are very few things you can configure, but you can go in there and change the couple basic things, enabling, disabling, and what color that animation is going to be. So do you like just that green one, or you want to come in, make it red, or something else? Those are your settings inside of the Settings application. That's PulseHUD. Moving on, we have discreetVoiceMemos. This is an easy way to record memos. So when you normally have a memo recording, you'll see a red bar inside of your phone, you'll see it on the top on the lock screen, and of course the waveform here on your lock screen. So very obvious that you're recording a voice memo. So if you want to be a little bit more obscure, once this tweak is installed, you see a memo is recording, no more red bar. And when you close your phone, no more waveform or a red bar on your lock screen. So it's like you're not even recording that memo. It's just a more discreet version of recording memos. Now we have Moose. Moose is a really simple tweak, once more, that allows you to change the color of your highlighting. So I go in here to Notes, I have some text. Instead of that classic blue, it's now in bright red. Of course, what do you think you can do in Settings app? That's right, you can go in there and basically change the color of your highlighting. So do you want to use a custom color? That's the same thing as enabled versus disabled. And then of course, what you want that color to be. Super quick and easy tweak. Moving on, our next jailbreak tweak for iOS 10 is CCDataMore. Another freebie on Cydia. This allows you to toggle your cellular data from Control Center. No longer do you have to jump into the Settings application, go down to Data, and turn it off. You can do it just swipe up from Control Center. And I don't have a 3D touch capable device, but if you do have a 3D touch capable device, notice when you look at the screenshots here, you have options to turn off certain ones. So maybe I just want to turn off LTE and 3G and just stick with slower 2G to save on some data. That's absolutely an option. So if you have 3D touch, you have a few more options in that little button. Have you ever noticed when you get a text message or a notification, sometimes it won't tell you when it happened, just a rough estimate of 2 minutes ago, 5 minutes ago, or now? Well, instead of having those kind of rough general timelines of when something happens, our next jailbreak tweak, ExactTime, does exactly what that. Instead of 2 minutes ago, it'll tell you what time that notification came in. Really simple concept here. So if we look back at that same exact text message instead of 2 minutes ago or now, it now says the exact time that came in. Now maybe you don't want to do it all the time. Maybe you want to put kind of a time delay on that. You can do it inside of settings. You have pretty much one option, which is the effect after however many minutes. Maybe you don't want to do it until after a certain number of minutes. You can input that in there and hit apply, and you are good to go. Confero 2 is a great jailbreak tweak to help you manage notifications. Basically, instead of putting them on the app icons themselves, it'll put notifications into this little status bar icon. So now you can see I have reminders, I have phone ones, all these different notifications that are showing up there. It gets really in depth with how much functionality you have. For instance, if I can pull down on the messages icon here, or any of them, it tells me what that notification is. If I tap on open, it'll actually open it inside of a little window inside of Confero. So I don't actually have to open the full app. I can open it right from in here, which is fantastic. It saves you so much time. It allows you to access it from within other applications. Same thing, just pull down on the icon and there's what the notification is. So there is my calendar. Oh, I got this thing coming up. Tap open. I can view the actual calendar application inside of my Confero window. I could be in an app, does not matter. I can tap on the X in that bottom right hand corner and clear that notification, so I can just get rid of that, or I can tap on it and actually jump into the full calendar application. Instead of clicking that X, there's also another gesture. I can swipe up, boom, just like that, and those messages have been completely dismissed. If I look back at the phone icon, there's no more notification center or no more notification icon on there. Even though I have those in there, I've dismissed those notifications. Inside of the settings, some cool things you can do, obviously enable and disable, pretty basic there. You can look at blur. So we have the light option, which is what you're going to see. Perfect, nice and light. We have the dark, which is what it sounds like, but automatic is probably what you should stick with unless you really like one or the other, because automatic will automatically determine if it should be light or dark based on the foreground of whatever application you're currently in. You also have hide badges. Since it's putting all your notifications up there into your status bar, you don't really need them on the icons. But if you do want something on your icon, you can use these indeterminate badges. So instead of actually having a number there, it'll do this instead. So your first option is a border, so you can put a border around it. You could take that little icon in the corner, make it a squared off, so it'll square it off corner there, letting you know there's notifications for that app. There's circle. Circle is probably the one that I like most. It's fairly simple and looks really nice. And then rounded square, square rounded, very similar to circle, just in that top right hand corner. So just letting you know there are notifications, but not being glaringly in the way, not showing 1,000 unread emails or whatever it may be. And of course you can come in there and change the color for that intermediate or that indeterminate badge as well. So you're not stuck with just using red. You can make it pink, blue, yellow. I don't care what you make it, but you can make it anything that you would like. Now, say you do get a new notification, there has to be some way to let you know. So that is on this Confero icon one. You can hide it completely, just get rid of it. But you can come in here and do this pulse. So that's really cool. You can see it very subtle. You can change the color there of just the pulsing of that icon. So if you're looking at your phone and you see it's pulsing, it means you have a new notification that you need to check out. So a very subtle way of getting in there and letting you know that something needs your attention. And it's really nice that you can change so you aren't stuck with that standard notification red. Same things before, you can alternate that as you'd like. Moving on from Confero to a next big one that we did cover in full. So if you want to check out everything on this app, definitely go watch our full review on it. Same thing for Confero 2, but that is Springtomize 4. So obviously everyone knows Springtomize. It's a huge one. You can do so many different things, animating, going between things, changing icons, adding cover flow effects like you see on the bottom. There's a ridiculous number of things you can do with Confero or with Springtomize, and it's been updated for iOS 10, which is absolutely fantastic. Just trying to run through a few of the different things you can customize: colors, shades, opacities, control center, notification center, lock screen, icons, menu bars, everything you can pretty much customize with Springtomize 4. There's so many different animations. You can control the apps with your control center, dock, folders, icons. You can change the speeds of things. So on animations, you don't need just use whatever speed. You can make things faster or slower, changing that lock animation, scrolling animation, doing a cool pulse thing, changing the screenshot color. So when you take a screenshot on your phone, boom, it's red instead of the standard white. Very small thing, but it's something you can definitely customize. Some really cool animations as you're swiping between the pages on your iPhone. You don't have to just go slide by side by side. How boring is that? You can do random ones like this. Almost makes me kind of seasick watching this one here, but it's really up to you. There's just so many things you can customize with Springtomize 4. We're not obviously going to go through all of them in this video, but you do have options. After Springtomize 4, we have Safe Alarm 3. This is another one that we have covered more in depth in a whole separate video, but basically it's an upgrade for your standard alarm clock on your iPhone. There's a lot of really cool ways to customize alarms individually. So we're going to go ahead and hit plus and add a new alarm like we would in the past. Of course, we can set our time. Nothing has changed there. That's all great. But now we have the days of the week. Before, this would take you to a separate page where you had to go through and check them off. Now there's these little tiny little buttons you can toggle on and off, which makes it really, really quick and easy. And of course, they put the regular days of the week at the front, so you just tap right in a row. The next unique option is under sound. So there are all the ringtones that you can choose, and before you could always play your music, but now you have the option to pick a playlist. So this is way cool. You don't have just one song or something that you go through, you know, a whole playlist of songs to play through instead. Outside of those small tweaks on the standard features, we have this new section below that is just, it's what it sounds like. It is Safe Alarm 3, and it's a little toggle switch that gives you a whole host of new options. Okay, so here we have snooze duration. So instead of being stuck with 9 minutes, I could make it less, or I could make it more. Whatever you want it to be, you can change that snooze duration so you're not stuck with that default time. You also can override the volume. So instead of worrying about if your volume is going to be low or high, you can always make this alarm have a certain volume level. You can change all these vibrate on ring, vibrate on silence, auto dismiss time, so how long before your alarm just stops yelling at you, just gives up on you, and you're done for the day and just automatically turns off. You also have calc alarm, which is kind of cool. So it makes you enter in some type of math problem before it allows you to turn your alarm off. It allows you to kind of stimulate your brain and get you going and really make sure you deactivate that alarm and don't just fall back to sleep once more. So I got that turned on. We're gonna have an alarm go off. Boom, right there. We've got an alarm come on. Before that alarm will shut up, I have to enter a math problem. 5 times 9, nailed it. 45, perfect. Got it on my first try. Yeah, I passed math. So there we go, and now I'm able to actually snooze or stop that alarm, and I don't have to worry about that math problem. And of course I can hit snooze, and instead of 9 minutes like normal, it's telling me it's going to be 10 minutes instead, because that's what I changed it to inside of Safe Alarm 3. Since we're looking at the lock screen, next up is Weatherlock. It does what it sounds like, and it brings the weather to your lock screen. Basically, it takes those cool smart weather backgrounds from the weather application and then puts them on your lock screen, of course without all that other weather information. Just a little subtle reminder about what the weather's like outside, just kind of from a visual point of view. They're really cool looking in the weather app itself and looks great on your lock screen. Of course, these settings consist of enabled versus disabled, a whole lot going on there, but it's nice because it does not require respring, so you can just turn it off quickly and easily without having to worry about respring your device. A few different things of what they look like, but you've probably seen a lot of what these weather backgrounds look like in the actual weather app itself. Obviously, they're animated, which looks really nice, the sun kind of moving, the rain's coming down, stars going through the skies. Really nice, pretty wallpapers from the weather app brought here to your lock screen. So have you ever been listening to music or audio and needed to respring your device and were kind of inconvenienced at the fact that your audio stops while you're respringing? Well, that is where Don't Stop the Party comes in. There's two versions. There's a free version that's like the light version, and there's the full version available for $2. The light version will only work with the standalone music app, and the full version will work with pretty much any audio source. But the goal here is you respring your device and your music continues to play. It's awesome because you're not down for 30 seconds and you have to go back in and play your music once more. So I'm playing Mighty Quinn, swipe up here, kind of my gesture that I put in with Springtomize to just relaunch my device, throw that up, resprings. When it comes back, that's right, Mighty Quinn is still playing. I don't lose a second of that music. Let's jump on to QuickPowerMode. If you've ever tried to go into low power mode, it can be a bit laborious. It's not as easy as just kind of tapping something. Well, that's what this makes it. Literally just tap on your little battery icon on the lock screen or on your home screen, and boom, it just jumps right into low power mode. You don't have to jump into settings or do anything like that or wait for the notification to come up. You can do it anytime just by tapping on the icon. Now we have StatusPeek too. The idea here is if you just pull down a little bit on the top of your phone, it'll give you that little kind of puller to pull down notification center. that's not all that useful, and unfortunately inside of some applications they don't give you the status bar. So if I'm looking inside of the camera app is a good example, but there's no status bar there. Or if I'm in a game and I'm really involved in that game, I can't see what's going on. Well, with this tweak installed, a little pull down from the top, boom, there's your status bar. There is your battery, your cellular, Wi-Fi, time, everything available right for you. It works in any application that kind of hides that menu bar automatically. Settings wise, you do have basically enable and disable, as well as a light and a dark blur option. So not a lot, but it is something that you can configure, though it does require a respring to get that to take effect. Now, of course, we pull it down once more. You notice it'll look a little bit different than how it did in the past. Jump into an application that hides our menu bar by default, and there you can see our lighter option. I've definitely needed this many times. I mean, you may not even realize it, but you're like something in an app, you're in a game or something, and you just need to see the battery, how much you have left, or what time it is, and you can't. So you have to kind of pull down all the notification center, which could pause the game. Just really nice, easy tweak. Continuing with our status bar coverage, we have UsageBarX, which kind of helps you manage what's in your status bar there. So normally if you were doing something like navigation, it looks like this. It's big, it's taking up a lot of space, and it's doing stuff in your way. Well, here we have a few different options. You can do this slim usage bar, which is what you see now. No longer does it have all that text of tapping to resume, which is a small little status bar letting you know that yes, we're in that navigation. Or you could hide it completely so you don't actually have anything going on. And then we have transparent, so it keeps it the larger size, but it makes it transparent, so it's not in your face, but you can still attach to return to that navigation or whatever is using your location up there. So holy smokes, that is it. Like 17 minutes of tweaks for iOS 10. Let us know what you think down below in the comments. Please subscribe. Till next time, it's Andrew for IDB.